Today I want to show you how to prune your squash to get maximum production in a very small space. If we haven't met yet, my name is Nicole Burke. I'm the founder of Gardenary, and you should subscribe to the Gardenary channel. So before you go any further, hit that subscribe button because you're going to love this video and you're going to love the rest of ours a lot too. So I have to admit, I have often avoided growing squash because it's just so big and needs so much space. And I love growing most of my fruits and vegetables in raised beds. And I usually like to reserve that space for other plants. This year, I thought I would experiment with growing lots of squash in smaller spaces using this pruning method that is turning out to be working fantastic. So this is one of our Gardenary quart and still beds. This bed is 40 inches by 40 inches. It's a perfect square, less than 16 square feet. And I have packed in the plants. We have all kinds of fun things happening in this garden space. We have 4 squash plants, at least 4 pepper plants. We have 3 or 4 tomato plants. I think there's a cucumber hiding somewhere in there. There's a lettuce plant that I'm letting go to seed, if you see that kind of crazy thing. And then there's loads of herbs and flowers and some bush beans too. So I want to grow as much squash as possible, but I don't want it to take up a lot of space. So I planted my 4 squash around the edges of this bed. So I put it right in the center of each panel, and I planted this a couple of months ago. So these plants have taken off. They've really started to produce well. And as soon as I started to see the first flowers form, that's when I started pruning. So each and every week, about once every 7 days, I head out here with my needle nose pruners and I do some pruning on the leaves of the squash plant. And it's working out great. So I start at the base of the plant, and I'm gonna clean off one of these prunes just so it's nice and tidy. But what I do is start at the very base and work my way up by pruning off very carefully one stem at a time. I try to prune as close to the main stem as possible so I don't promote disease or pests, and I just let the plant continue to grow up. So each and every week I'm going to cut probably 2 to 3 of these stems, and then I'm just going to let it keep growing. Now, as you can see, because I pruned it this way, the plant is starting to grow primarily vertically rather than horizontally. So instead of the plant spreading out really wide across the entirety of this bed, which it totally could do, this squash plant instead is putting more of its focus on growing up. You can see how this stem has actually started to grow up higher and higher. And instead of producing flowers on the outside of the plant, all of these flowering stems are coming right from the center of the plant and heading up rather than out, which is exactly what we want to happen. So now you can see on this plant we have a couple of squash that probably weren't pollinated great. But if you just count the fruit that's forming already, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fruit that are well into production. And then I can already see the beginnings of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more, from tiny to a little bit bigger. So already from this plant, I can see I'm going to get at least 10 fruit, which is much more than I've often gotten from a squash plant that I just let do its thing. So pruning works. Pruning helps a plant direct its energy, and it helps also you grow lots more in a much smaller space. If you want to learn all about how to grow squash, you should check out my book, Leaves, Roots, and Fruit. And if you want to learn how to set up your kitchen garden the way I do, you should definitely get on the wait list for my online course, Kitchen Garden Academy. You can learn how to do both right below this video. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the garden next time.